Good morning from my garden. I'm out here today because it's the first sunny day here in Scotland and I'm keen to get outside. But I also wanted to share a really exciting bit of news. I think it's a good news story, and it's about how North America and Europe can cooperate with something, show a bit of leadership, and do something that's going to be good for the aviation industry and good for the environment, and something that we're really keen for aviation workers to promote and get on board with. There was a new study that was released last week by an organization called Transport and Environment, looking at contrail warming from aviation. Specifically, they were looking at when and where these contrails are produced, and the areas that we could really focus on to get maximum impact on contrails as quickly as possible. So just starting off with what contrails are. So contrails are the white lines that form behind aircraft as they fly across the sky. You'll notice sometimes that some aircraft don't have any white lines behind them, and other ones do have really quite thick clouds that appear behind them, and they persist across the sky and basically form a type of cloud. Now, why does that affect global warming? Well, if you think about how the sun heats the Earth, and I'm just going to illustrate the sun as this lemon, and the Earth as this turnip. My planetary system is not to scale. If you think about the sun, it sends out its rays and it heats the surface of the Earth closest to the sun during the day. So the sea and the Earth on that surface heat up. The planet then rotates, and that hot surface then radiates that heat out into the black of space in the other direction. What contrails do, and other clouds, but contrails add to this effect, is they basically wrap around the Earth like a blanket. They trap heat inside the atmosphere during nighttime and stop it radiating to space. So there's less cooling that occurs during that cycle of the Earth from day to night. If we remove those contrails, we could actually have an immediate cooling effect on the Earth that would be quite considerable. If we don't do anything, we'll continue to warm the Earth from aviation quite rapidly, and this will contribute to accelerating global warming. So what can we do about it? Well, this warming from contrails is significant. There is some uncertainty in our understanding of exactly how much they heat the Earth, but it's anywhere between a kind of big effect and a massive effect. So it's definitely significant. It's potentially on the same order of warming as caused by the carbon emissions from aviation. So what can we do about it? Well, there has been a lot of discussion. We've known about contrails for a long time, but we often say the uncertainty and the exact amount of warming is really holding us back. If we want to avoid contrails, what we can do is we can avoid regions of the sky. They're called ice supersaturated regions. That's a technical term that means it's just a cold, humid, and wet part of the sky. And that means that when an aircraft flies through it, it seeds these clouds from that moisture and creates the contrail. If we fly slightly higher or lower in altitude, we can avoid these regions and we can avoid the contrails and producing the warming. But obviously, if we're moving all our aircraft up and down, that will cause a bit of fuel burn. So that has been resisted. But what we found, and what this recent transport and environment study really digs into and explores, is exactly when and where these contrails form. And it turns out certain times of day, certain places around the world, certain times of year produce contrails with a much higher probability of warming than others. And we can focus on a really small number of flights and get a massive benefit. They found that actually it's just 3% of flights, a real minority, that produce 80% of contrail warming. And if you zoom in and look at Europe, as this study does, what they find is there's a big seasonal variation. So much more contrail warming takes place between October and March, October, November, December, January, February, March. That time over kind of autumn and winter is when the vast majority of contrail warming takes place. So you can immediately just not look at half of the year and focus on those autumn and winter months. The next thing you can do is you can focus on the time of day. So it's night flights that create contrails that are persistent at night and block that heat from escaping from the Earth during nighttime. So we can also focus on night flights and ignore a big chunk of flights that take place during the day. And finally, where. So they found that flights from northeast of Europe going east over Russia, etc., but also flights going west over the North Atlantic towards North America um, produce are kind of contrail hotspots for lots of warming. Um, they also then look at the amount of congestion, the amount of flights, the amount of air traffic in the sky at those times. And the really interesting thing is they find, for example, over the North Atlantic, um, at night in winter, those are times when there is less flights. Why? Because there's more flights in the summer because of summer holidays and less in winter. There's less flights at night than there is in day. Um, and and those flights over the North Atlantic between Europe and North America, um, because those are long haul, long range flights, there's relatively few of them compared to all of the daytime flights that happen across Europe itself. So there's much more flexibility, less aircraft in the sky over that region, so that we have more flexibility to remove a flight level and get all aircraft to fly at a different altitude and try and avoid these regions. Now, we hope this is the first of many studies. We're definitely going to learn more about contrail avoidance. I'm sure there'll be even more specifics that we want to get into to hone what we do. But the only way that we can learn is by doing. We need to get on and we need to do contrail avoidance trials. We need to be looking at this at an airspace level, which means it would be great for government to get involved and to support this kind of thing. We're really keen that the aviation industry gets behind this, because if we can reduce warming contrails, we can buy ourselves more time to hit our climate targets. This is also an opportunity that's relatively low cost. It's good for workers. There's more work involved in air traffic management and for pilots and within airlines. And it's relatively quick to do. So this is just a win-win-win for the planet, for the environment, for the aviation industry. And it's a great chance for cooperation between North America and Europe. If you're keen to support this as an aviation worker, lend your voice to it, think about what you could do within your company, within your organization, to promote this and accelerate this kind of thinking, please get in touch. We're Safe Landing. You can contact us at info@safelanding.org. We're really keen to chat and see how we can cooperate.